You guys seem to really like the last banger intro we put in the previous Setup Wars video. So if this video gets 5,000 likes, I will drop a fresh single for the next episode of Setup Wars. So with that said, welcome to Setup Wars episode 345. Grab your chicks, butcher that intro. Grab your chips or snacks, sit back and relax, and let the Setup Wars begin.
Setup Wars, where it spins. Take source fun, that's how it begins. Anchor dropping knowledge, make it clear. Best builds on YouTube, coming near.
This video is sponsored by VIPYourCDKey.com. If you're building yourself a PC or you're looking to upgrade Windows, do not pay full price for a key and instead pick them up from here. They have legit Windows 10 Pro keys as well as Windows 11 Pro keys for dirt cheap. Using the code TS20, you'll get a nice discount. And after checking out, they will send you instructions on how to retrieve the key within a minute. And afterwards, all you have to do is go into the activation settings and put it in and you're good to go. Kicking off the episode is Aaron, a gas plant and field operator from Canada with his RuneScape themed setup. He put it together in only 4 days for the purpose of work and gaming. Oh man, this reminds me of the days I was locked up in my mom's basement farming cowhides in Lumbridge. Good times. Also, why is that safe exposed? I thought the whole point of safes would be to hide it behind a painting or something. You're a man of many secrets, Aaron. Either way, Aaron is apparently an active member on our Discord server. Bro, I haven't even seen your name anywhere in the chats ever since I created this server. You're so active, you're invisible, apparently. And Setup Wars was a huge motivation for him to build his first PC and setup. We can already see this from the foundation, a classic IKEA Lag Captain and Alex Jor combo. He modified the desk, however, and installed a flush power socket for quick access to power. Great touch. For monitors, Aaron is rocking a dual stacked layout with a 34-inch Alienware as his main and a 27-inch Acer as his secondary. He mounted both of them to the wall with low profile and full motion mounts. This is a good way to make your cable management easier if you can't or don't want to run your cables through the wall itself. You went with a full set of Razer peripherals. We got a Deathstalker V2 Pro keyboard and a Basilisk V3 Pro mouse in white, both resting on a Guy Linor RuneScape mousepad. I'm probably gonna get flamed for that. For audio, he's only got the Razer Nari headphones for both input and output during gaming, and the Leviathan X soundbar underneath his monitors. The cable management is very clean. The rack is holding up all the power strips and loose cables, while he used raceways to hide the PC power cord. The rest of the cables going towards the PC are all tied together and running through a cable sleeve. Very nice job. The PC behind the setup is a gorgeous build in the Height Y60 featuring an i7-12700K, a Gigabyte RTX 4080, and 64 gigs of RAM. You'll love to see it. I would, however, recommend getting a 16-pin GPU cable extension as well, just to stay consistent with the rest of the PC and just to add overall looks to the system as well. I'll drop a link to one I recommend in the description section for anyone interested. Okay, now let's take a look at the rest of the room. Those shelves on the right steal the show for me. There's a cute photo of his wife, a Citizen watch he got as a gift, but also lots of RuneScape books, the official handbook, and even the first 20 years encyclopedia. Besides that, Aaron has a crazy collection of consoles, which aren't there just for looks, okay? All of them work. In fact, there are so many, I'd rather have a list of them on screen. We got 9 Nintendo consoles, 4 Xboxes, and all PlayStations, with the only one missing being the PS5. You know, as much as I love the theme, I do feel like something is missing. If it weren't for the collectibles and the handbooks on the right, there isn't much related to RuneScape in the setup itself, except for the mousepad. Maybe that was the plan all along. But if you ever want to expand, custom 3D printed desk risers like the one I did in the Wolverine setup and Leo setup in Setup Makeover Season 6 could be a start, or even some framed runes from Etsy. Either way, it was a great start to the episode. Thank you, Aaron, for starting off the show. I can already hear the sounds of the jungle with this next setup. So this belongs to Alan, who is an X-ray technician from Phoenix, Arizona, who put it together mainly for gaming and editing. I don't know if you guys remember, but these hanging plants used to be very popular on Setup Boards back in the day, so it's cool to see them back on the show. Alan here is a huge fan of all things greenery, and he's not afraid to show it. Just like Aaron, he went with a stacked monitor layout, but with the ultralight on top. A 34-inch Gigabyte as his main, and a 24-inch 1080p Asus monitor as his secondary. Looks like they're sandwiched right between the Sanyun speakers, which are raised with a couple of Kanto stands. By the way, I love the symmetry here. Panning over to the desk, we are greeted by a HyperX keyboard with custom Forest keycaps and a glorious Model D resting on one of our OG TS mouse pads, the Forest. All of this complements the overall green theme beautifully. You know, some people might disregard a proper hand or wrist rest, but I think Alan here can confirm that the Carpio is one of the best investments for hand comfort. In fact, I still use one with my current setup. It is an absolute game changer. Going back to audio, when it's time to game, Alan switches to the SteelSeries Arctis Pro Wireless resting on a headphone stand on the left. Since he doesn't have a dedicated mic, he does use the built-in one from the headphones. You know, looking at the mist diffuser next to the headphones, can anyone confirm whether it does anything or is it just for looks? Let me know in the comment section if you guys have one. I would say the cable management is handled properly. Alan used multiple raceways to run the cables as flush to the desk as possible and tied them all behind the Alec drawers and his monitors with some cable clips, cable ties, and zip ties. Very clean job. The custom PC powering the setup features an overclocked Ryzen 7 5800X and the EVGA RTX 3080. It's quite sad we don't see any more EVGA GPUs, but now's no time to mourn. Actually, Vince Kingpin from EVGA is currently working on a big project with PNY, so I'm really curious to see what these guys are cooking. I really need to know what the story behind the black fan is, by the way. It looks like it was done on purpose for the black and white color scheme, but if that's the case, why stop there? I could be wrong though. In any case, the whole setup is a nice tribute to the nature and plant theme, and it somehow feels crowded, but also well balanced at the same time. You have both fake and succulent plants from IKEA, little collectibles, nanoleaf panels, Rubik's Cubes facing the green plants, and even the black and white shelves, keeping the color scheme consistent. One thing I would recommend is to diffuse the RGB strip at the side of the desk so you don't see each separate LED. But apart from that, I personally like the Inspire sign that you have on the right wall, which I assume is a motto you follow. I'm sure your setup will inspire a lot of people watching this right now, so thank you, Alan, for coming on the show.
Alexa, turn on the Batcave.
Okay.
Yeah, damn! I honestly can't get enough of you guys' creativity and badass setup wars intro, so please, please, please keep them coming. This Batcave is owned by Kaimar, a YouTuber who runs his own marketing agency, and he built the setup in the span of 3 months for editing and content creation. The warm and cozy vibe is not something you expect when someone says Batcave, but somehow it works. Actually, as soon as I saw this setup, I instantly thought of Marijan's and I Don't Know setup. There's just something about the wooden theme that tickles my fancy down here. And I know for a fact a lot of you guys get those too. Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate the quality of the photos that were provided. Our eyeballs are blessed today, thanks to Kaimar. Anyway, the centerpiece of the setup is our good old friend, the massive 49-inch Samsung Odyssey OLED monitor with a 2023 iPad Pro M2 underneath as the secondary display. The weight of that big boy is supported by the Carbly countertop and a Topski sit-and-stand frame on wheels. He sanded and restained the countertop for that perfectly clean look in combination with the Bololo monitor stand and all of its accessories. When we look at the surface, we'll see most content creators' sidekick, the Loupedeck, along with its crazy custom Mojo 84 keyboard, the MX Master 3S, and a matching wooden wrist rest. Speaking of which, perfect timing, you guys. The wooden wrist rest. It's definitely the jalapenos from the chips that are kicking in right now. The wooden The custom Texorus wooden wrist rests, there we go, are on the way right now to the house, so we'll have it on the store hopefully by the end of July. But we do have the acrylic version up on the channel. I'm losing my voice too. What's going on here? But the acrylic wrist rests are already on our shop. If you guys want to check it out, texorshop.com. All right, moving on. On to the rest of the gear. His main sources of audio are a pair of PreSonus speakers on both sides with a sub underneath the desk and the Sony XM3 headphones. The microphone of choice is a Fifine Dynamic, which you can easily tuck behind the monitors whenever it's not in use. You can tell how practicality was his priority when making the choices here. When it comes to cable management, Kaimar didn't spare any effort. Having so many devices on the desk naturally leaves you with tons of cables. But when we take a look underneath the desk, it feels like there are only a couple. He used a lot of sleeves, cable clips, and straps and kept all of them tight and neat without any unnecessary slack, giving the cables a very clean look. Now it makes sense why you have the desk with wheels. You can just move it to the side, work on the cable manager in the back, and then move it back. It's freaking genius. Now you guys are probably thinking, Ed, where's the powerhouse pushing all those pixels? I too looked for it for a while, but then realized that Kymar doesn't play on this setup at all. In fact, it's powered by that M2 MacBook Pro right behind the Samsung monitor. That's also why he's able to use the iPad as an extended display here. But if that's powering the monitor, then where does he game? I mean, he plays Tekken, R6, GTA, so there must be something we're missing. Well, to the left of his desk is the TV gaming corner with the PS5 Slim. That's also where he teaches his little bro manners on Tekken and FIFA, something we can all relate to, I'm sure. We actually have a few people that play Tekken on our server, Roberto, Michael, and our editor Mallory. They're actually pretty trash at the game, but if you guys want to go up against them and challenge them, feel free to join the server. Tell them Ed sent you. Sorry, Mallory, I forgot you were editing this video. I don't know if you trashed or not. I do have to say the decor all around the setup is very thought out and not too overpowering. I love how you use the Luke Skywalker lightsaber to complement the RGB, but indirectly fit with the blue accents on the Herman Miller chair. We've got a Batman logo right above the TV, some unique custom wall art that he made himself, and even a freaking Batarang casually chilling on his desk. Everything in this setup has its purpose, and it was perfectly crafted and executed, and because of that, I want to give Kymar the 67th seal of approval. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, by the way. Hit me on Discord to claim your plaque and your custom TechSource mousepad. You guys are going ham with these freaking intros, okay? I just keep them coming. Keep them coming. I love seeing how creative you guys get with these. It spices up the videos as well, so thank you for taking your time and making these intros. This Dragon Ball theme setup belongs to Dustin, a 17-year-old from California who uses it mainly for gaming and video editing. It took him a year to bring the setup to its current form. You can already see the journey of going from a tiny credenza desk to making his own custom one. The setup features triple displays with two 24-inch Asus monitors and a massive 50-inch 4K Samsung TV up top, which is most likely used for consuming content and to play out as Xbox Series S we see on the left side. That thing is massive. Moving on to peripherals, he's using a 60% HK gaming keyboard with HyperX keycaps paired with a glorious Model D on top of a black and white Cherry Blossom mousepad. Real quick, just my 2 cents here, but our TS Dragon mousepad would look amazing in this constellation, just saying. For audio, we got a HyperX Quadcast microphone in white, a Katana V2 soundbar, and a pair of Astro A40s hanging underneath the desk. Looking at the cable management from down here, I got no complaints, honestly. Everything is routed through cable raceways and tied behind the desk and backboard. One thing I would recommend, once again, is to diffuse the RGB strips to hide the individual LEDs. They look very tacky. It's underneath the desk, I get it, but they're still visible even from a higher angle if we look at the middle part of the desk and the reflections on the headphones. The same goes for the RGB strips across the ceiling. They're even reflecting on your Goku posters. It's cool that you cover the cables going up the raceways, but doing that little extra and diffusing the LEDs would give the room a much better look. Now onto the PC. Good lord. I'm gonna need the good stuff for this. I'll be right back.
A few faps later.
It's built inside the O11 Dynamic, rocking a Ryzen 7 5800X and an RTX 3070. You kept the Dragon Ball theme going with a custom Goku Super Saiyan 4 decal on the cooler and the Ing Cool display instead of the exhaust fan on the back. That's actually the same exact one I used in the Frost V2 build 3 years ago. Damn, time flies. Also, just to go that extra mile, you should think about picking up an 810 EPS cable extension for the top. I know the default PSU cables are in white, but they unfortunately don't blend in the way we'd want them to. I really love what you did here with the theme. I'm obviously being biased, being a massive Dragon Ball weeb like you, but I feel like he did a great job in showing it without making the setup too crowded. We got 2 posters, massive Goku, Black, Rose, or Rose, depending on where you're from, Jiren and Broly figurines, and some stickers and decals here and there. In terms of decor, you should have gone with the JSK lines instead of the Nanoleaf ones. They look the same, but cost much less. You could have put the money you saved into custom cables, diffusers, and some reverse blade fans from Lian Li to make your PC look perfect. But that's of course just my opinion. Nonetheless, this was a fantastic setup, fellow Saiyan. I cannot wait to see the potential that you can unleash from it. Thank you, Dustin, for coming on the show. Wrapping up the episode in a beautiful pink bow tie is Edward, a fellow Ed from Australia, and his perfectly symmetrical setup. One glance is enough to tell how tidy and organized Edward is. Perfectly spaced out wall art, symmetrical RGB triangles all around the monitors, almost the same number of devices and gadgets on both sides, and the custom work around the desk to make a backboard to accommodate all the cable management. I get aesthetic satisfaction just by looking at it. So Edward started his setup journey 6 years ago when he was still 13 years old and made lots of changes to it over time. The current form is this gorgeous white setup with black accents. In fact, he even made a full 3D render all by himself before starting to build it. I love the dedication here. So he's rocking 2 monitors in a stacked layout, a 27-inch 165Hz ViewSonic as his main, and a 29-inch LG Ultrawide as his secondary on the top. I do see that you also flipped it to have the thick chin on the top. Much respect. For peripherals, his choice fell on the Razer Black Widow V4 in white and a Logitech MX Master 3S. These are his daily drivers. He also has a white Razer Viper Mini Ultimate for gaming and 3 custom boards that he put up for display on a shelf to the right. Beautiful. It's got some nice audio gear too, featuring the Elgato Wave 3 attached to a boom arm he spray painted white. We got the Z200 speakers and the Microsoft Surface 2 headphones, which are hanging underneath the desk. This is, by the way, one of my favorite parts of the setup. Do you guys see that little device he attached with the different consoles and the PC logos? That right there is an HDMI switch for switching between his PS5, Xbox, Switch, and the PC whenever he needs to use one or the other. He even went as far as to paint it in white and used his mom's sticker printer to get those icons. That way he could tell which device he is switching to. Right beside that is his Stream Deck with a custom mount. This way you can pull it out and push it down for quick access. You know, I might have to steal that idea for future setups. Thank you for that, Edward. I'm not gonna lie, the cable management could be better, of course, but since it's being covered by the backboard, the cable is going to the devices on the top of the desk, and his HDMI switch are the most important ones, and those are managed properly, so good job there. The PC powering the setup is a build he put together back when we had COVID inflated prices, unfortunately, and this features an i5 11400 and an RTX 3060. The fact that he took this time to take the PC to a separate room and take high quality photos from all angles is honestly amazing. You guys always feel free to do stuff like this. Maybe take the PC in another room with better lighting, or even outside and take some open air photos. This not only pleases all of our eyeballs, but also makes the submission stand out. It's not a must, but you know, it is always good eye candy. Now, we may have covered the setup, but there's an entire history behind it that I kind of want to share with you guys. Do you guys see that little thing right above his monitors? Trigger warning, by the way, if anyone is affected by medical stories. So that's an 8cm long bone screw, one of many which he had implanted in his hip for over a year. In February of 2020, Edward was diagnosed with 2 deadly infections. He had to undergo over 30 surgeries all over his body, mainly on his hip, to get rid of them, and went into cardiac arrest twice. I'm getting chills just from reading this. Like, it was so bad at one point that the doctors didn't even think he was gonna make it. And I won't be showing too much, nor I'll be going into a lot of detail to respect his privacy, of course. But with some sort of miracle, he was able to make it, something the doctors themselves weren't expecting. It was a very long and painful process, after which he had to relearn how to walk twice due to all the surgeries that he had. That's when he asked his doctor to give one of the metal screws to him after surgery, which he gladly did after deep cleaning it, of course, with special machines. He still has multiple big and small rods and plates in his hip to this day, but now displays one of them proudly as a symbol of his strength and all the hardships that he underwent, and came out with his head held high right above his setup. Edward, what can I say, man? You're such a strong and blessed person in every sense of that word. You didn't lose your tenacity or your hope after getting diagnosed. And you had your family, your little doggo Murphy, support you all the way through, and you beat the infections, and you're only getting better now. I would describe you as the man of steel, quite literally and figuratively.
Oh, hi Texas, how are you? I'm just playing some Fortnite.
Your smile is worth everything, my guy, and even watching this video where you do a little setup tour after reading your story really touched me. And being a father of two, like, I could only imagine what your parents went through. And they must be extremely relieved now that you're doing a lot better. So I would say, like, you're one of the biggest role models and inspirations to a lot of us. So keep spreading positivity, enjoy love, continue to do what you love. Thank you for coming on the show. And before I wrap it up, I do want to award you the 68th seal of approval. So if you're watching this video, toss me a message on Discord so you can claim your plaque and your free TechSource mousepad. Well, on that emotional note, before we wrap up this episode, there was one thing that all the setups had in common that I didn't mention in this video. First person to reach out on Discord and let me know will receive a free TechSource mousepad. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.